Mishka had asked three questions. What are some key lessons we've learned in doing interfaith work? What are the opportunities for interfaith work, and what are some of the resources for interfaith work? So I'm going to quickly try and address some of those three primary questions. So key lessons. When we first began to think about forming Faith in the Common Good back in 2000, as we had traveled across the country, we were finding that there was lots of interfaith groups, but the primary focus of those groups was around talking about different faith traditions, what kind of garb we wear, what our theology is, those questions. And our question to the interfaith groups was, can we not engage on ethical issues as a way to get to know each other? The primary task had been about interfaith dialogue and learning with each other. Our question was, can we engage on substantive issues around Canadian concerns as a vehicle for getting to know each other, and people were excited about that opportunity. And so Faith in the Common Good has worked on healthcare issues and on different economic issues, and then for the last 6 years, the Greening Sacred Spaces has been the focus, and it's been a real way of building trust with each other as we've worked together on issues of the common good. And like our brothers before us talking about language in the evangelical community, in the interfaith community, when we first began talking about political engagement, and that was a term that was loaded for many people of different faith traditions. Politics from countries that they had come from represented a different understanding than what we understood here in Canada. And so that's where we became Faith and the Common Good, and common good language became a more effective term for bringing people together and working. Another key aspect of our organizing was to understand ourselves as a network and not some sort of new para-religious group that was trying to bring groups together. We have always understood ourselves as a very kind of loose network supporting faith communities in their particular actions, and that has been effective. One of the early learnings when working with David Suzuki in 2003 around his nature challenge, I went off and bragged to Suzuki that, people of faith will be on board with this environment issue, just give me thousands of your brochures and I'll be out there. And so, I began doing these presentations, and I hand out 300 nature challenge things and get back about 3. And so what is that? Because there were very simple things that people were being asked to do, like take public transit 1 day a week and simple things. So it's understanding like the fear factor, how to get people to take some baby steps in transformation. And so in conversation with Suzuki, he challenged us to be practical, and so that's why our Greening Sacred Spaces program has focused both on the spiritual side of things, but a lot of it has been how to get building audits done, how to do simple things around the building that are symbolic for the community about that kind of transformation. And so we've gotten money to get building audits, how to do the retrofits. We're now working on a solar project, the solar panels, and so on. So how do we help people take these baby steps and use our faith communities and our buildings as vehicles for beginning that conversation and taking those steps forward? Money. Any of you who work with faith communities, it's a whole interesting conversation. You know, people who are credible business people in their day job and used to sort of spending money and doing things are incredibly conservative in their faith community around sort of spending that faith community's money, aren't they? And you know, so just to get them to, you know, pay a few $100 to get an audit done and so on is like this woo, you know, multi-layers of politics to get people going. So you have to approach it in a slow, and it is a you have to see it in sort of long-term development processes that you know, you've got little windows and you keep working with them. In terms of opportunities, then we organized this large event with David Suzuki at a mosque in Scarborough a few years back, and as we built trust with the leaders of that mosque, there was a real interest in how to, in that particular, the Muslim community connect with our so-called Christian mainstream communities, like the integration into Canadian society. So there was often the Sikhs and the Muslims and the Hindus and so on have felt like their own communities almost ghettoized from interaction into Canadian life. And so there's a tremendous opportunity for us to understand a new Canadian reality that includes it, but those of us who are, you know, look like me, how do we, you know, bring that conversation about how we can be Canadian together in some new ways. And so that's an incredible opportunity. And it's an incredible opportunity because they literally have between 5,000 and 10,000 people through their doors on a weekend. Like in the Guvardas, up to 25,000 people coming to prayer over the course of a weekend, serving meals for 20,000 people. I mean, it's just phenomenal in comparison with what often goes on in our churches. And so there's been tremendous opportunity in doing that. At the Debbie Mandure Temple in Pickering that we've worked with, I was just out there a couple of weeks ago giving them a Green Award, because a few years back they would serve 5,000 to 10,000 meals on a Sunday, and they used styrofoam for. They thought that was, you know, the polite thing to do, is to offer, you know, disposable things. And so you know, we kind of triggered, well, you know, maybe there's a different way, and the young people got on board with that they were willing to do the dishes, and we said, well, the Sikhs, you know, the Guvarda down the road here, they use these really cool tin plates in serving, and so you know, so we got them on board experimenting with doing that, and so that's been a tremendous, you know, from bags and bags of garbage every Sunday to you know, using no disposable things and composting, and now they've got solar panels in their parking lot. And they've become community leaders in Pickering around issues of the environment, inviting people to their temple, and so we were giving them this award, and that's true in some different Guvardas and places around. So there's tremendous opportunity. Big public spaces and a big community to work with.